Welcome to the Champions of Active Women podcast. In each episode, we share stories and experiences of active female role models and individuals who support the active pursuits of girls and women. Our goal is to encourage and inspire girls and women to be active for a lifetime, to reach their goals, and to break new barriers in sport and life. This podcast is brought to you by the Active Women's Health Initiative in the Sports Medicine Research Institute at the University of Kentucky. The mission of the Active Women's Health Initiative is to optimize health and promote physical activity and wellness for girls and women across the lifespan. If you enjoy this podcast, you can make a donation to the Active Women's Health Initiative at uky.networkforgood.com. Your contribution helps us empower all girls and women to find their inner athlete and become athletes for life. Today, I am joined by Tori Orcutt and her mother, Terry. This mother-daughter pair has an impressive list of athletic accomplishments. In high school, Tori was an 8-time state championship medalist in swimming and track and was awarded the High School Heisman Award and All Sports Association Female Scholar Athlete of the Year for her accomplishments in the sport, the classroom, and the community. Currently, Tori is a freshman on the University of Kentucky swimming and diving team that recently won their first SEC swimming championship. Beyond athletics, Tori was named Air Force ROTC Freshman Cadet of the semester and serves on the FCA leadership team and as a mentor for the Amachi program. Terry attended Tulane University, where she was a 3-time swimming All-American. Her success in athletics continued after college. Terry was a U.S. national champion in Modern Pentathlon and Epee Fencing, an 8-year member of the U.S. national team Modern Pentathlon, and a 2-year member of the U.S. national team for fencing. Terry was a 5-time Air Force Academy Athlete of the Year and was named Department of Defense Athlete of the Year in 1990. Welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
So athletics seems like something that really just runs in your family, especially swimming. And I was wondering if you could get me started by just talking about the importance of playing sports and being active in your family. Terry, could you get started?
Sure. It really does. I actually met my husband, Tori's dad, at a swimming pool. So from the very beginning, and at swim practice, we met to do a swim practice. So from the very, very beginning, it's kind of been athletics has been a focal point. It was for both Dan and I growing up, and then it just sort of morphed into that with the kids. That was just kind of the thing that we either did together or that we got them involved in.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
That's kind of what they told us was their parenting philosophy, that if I do have kids in the future, will definitely be mine as well. It seems to have worked, is that if they're involved in as many sports and other extracurricular activities as they can be, then they won't have any time to be getting into any trouble. So if they're busy and then they're tired from all those sports, and they won't be getting in trouble. And it seemed to work out pretty well, and we had a lot of fun along the way. So.
Yeah. Seems like a good philosophy. And Terry, I also met my husband on the pool deck, so we share that we share that in common as well. What kinds of activities does your family enjoy doing together, or have you enjoyed doing together in the past?
Who do you want to go first?
Whoever wants to take it.
We've done pretty much anything and everything together. We do enjoy just laying on the couch and watching movies all day, just as much as anyone else. But I've really enjoyed also having all my siblings on my teams, such as like my brother's here at UK as a senior on the swim team with me, which is awesome. Always played soccer with my little sister, had my big sister to look up to, always playing sports, and my parents would always be there cheering us on, and I knew that they did sports when they were younger, so it's just something that's really connected us as a family, but we also love relaxing too.
Yeah. As far as athletics and things that we've done from the time, I don't even know if Tori can remember, but from the time they were really little, especially we have 4 kids, and all of them are relatively close in age. So we basically had 4 kids, 6 and under. So with 4 kids at those ages, the things that we did were the bike trailer where we would put Tori and her little sister in the trailer, and then the older two would get to bike on their little bikes, or I'd use the jog stroller and then the older two would bike. So starting from that, going into like little kid soccer and little kid t-ball, and honestly, it's good that a couple of them ended up swimmers, because swimming every summer was a huge thing, you know, rec summer league swim, and then just hanging out at the pool all day. So we've had a lot of summer birthday pool parties.
Sounds like lots of good memories around being active together from a really young age. I'm always amazed at how many different phases of kind of a family walk, or how many different pieces of equipment can happen in that early age. You know, you've got strollers and scooters and bikes and walking, and it's kind of an interesting process there.
But Tori should tell you not to, was it scooter or bike with a dog on the leash, on her handlebar?
So we're also a military family, so we moved a lot. So sports also became something that was a constant in our lives. You know, we had our family, we had our faith, but we also had sports that helped us kind of get acclimated to a new environment. But as we were moving, one of the times, you know, my sister and I wanted to go scootering around the neighborhood, just as something fun to do in the new place. And I took our dog out as well, because, you know, she deserved to go too. And I had her leash wrapped around my handlebars. We were scootering. And I know sports taught me lessons from the very beginning, because I learned never to do that again, because she saw a little chihuahua on the other side of the street and wanted to say hi. So she bolted across, dragging me with her. So that was a very fun experience, and I learned a lot of lessons from that moving forward.
Hopefully no major injuries in that incident.
No, we were good.
Good. So with this many athletes in the family, mom, dad, and 4 kids, I imagine there may be some friendly competitions at times. Are there any good stories to tell about friendly competitions?
Oh, of course. I think there's 4 of us, and there's 2 that are close. They're about a year apart, my older brother and sister, and then my little sister and I are close. So we've gotten the little sets of competitions a little bit. But I always really loved, my sister and I were on a lot of teams together, but I loved doing both our sports together, and we kind of picked the ones that we were better at individually. So like on the soccer field, it was a known fact that she was way better than me. My little sister could destroy me at anything related to soccer, but it was always fun playing with her. And I'd be like, well, I messed up, you got it now. You solved the problem that I just made on the field. But we'd also get to run together. So for relays, you know, watching my sister run into me and like hand me the baton and going off with it was just super fun. I'm sure it was fun for my parents as well, because then they were going to one competition instead of multiple different ones. And then being here with my brother, you know, I like to compete with him. We always tease each other at practice. I'm like, oh, you could have done better. You could have done more. But it's nice that he is a boy and he's a lot older than me. So there's not as much like head-to-head things as well.
Yeah, they're super, they're fierce competitors, but the thing their dad and I really wanted, I think you'll find this too with your own kids, is that it's really nice if they're on the same team. And we've always talked about you're on the same team, and to support each other. And she brought up that we are a military family, and that really was kind of, when you move a lot, you don't have to be military, but if you move a lot, really your best friends are your family. And so we always wanted them to know that they had each other, and they did. They always had each other's backs. So I cannot say how fun it is to watch them together. So when she says they competed, she and her sister won a silver medal at state in their 4x8 relay. And did you guys hand off to each other, or did you not? You handed off. I think you handed off to, or Colby handed off to you. That's what happened. But it's just cool to watch them to be on the same team. Their oldest sister, Jackie, and Daniel were the same ages or close. So they were on teams together too. But as boy, girl, when they were in high school, it was more, they were on the swim team together, but not on relays together, obviously. But it's fun to watch them together.
I think as a parent, that must be a cool moment, because you also get to see the moments where they're not getting along, or, you know, even if those are few and far between. I think it's probably really fun to see anytime your kids are working as a team. I think that can be a really special moment.
Right.
So, you talked about some friendly competitions, but could you both talk about the ways in which your family really supports one another in active pursuits or reaching athletic goals?
Oh, absolutely. I think all of my siblings support me, and I know I can go to them for anything, especially athletically too. But what's been really amazing for me, particularly, is being at college with my brother, starting my first year at a Division I school for swimming, which is, I'd say, more demanding than most normal sports with our training schedule, and it being a COVID year with things being different. Having him here to help me all the time whenever whenever I need him for anything extreme, especially with athletics, either doubts or training problems or anything that comes up along the way. He's always been supportive. He always has the answer. And he's been a huge help in me adjusting to college and adjusting to sports here. And I'm very thankful for him.
And he probably just gets it because he's been through, the same things with the same coaches at the same school. And, you probably don't have to say a lot when you go to him with some of those questions.
Absolutely. It's just reassuring to know that, especially since we come from the same family, that he's been through it and he knows that I'll make it through as well, and that I can do what I put to my mind to, and that the goals that sometimes I don't share with other people, I can share with him because he believes in me, is definitely helpful. And it's the same with my parents. They always believe in me, sometimes even more than I believe in myself. And my little sister as well. I'm super excited. She's actually committed to row at the University of Michigan, and my
Michigan State,
sister,
that's a big mistake.
Michigan State. I'm sorry, that's like saying Louisville. And my older sister fenced at the academy, so it's just really amazing to have my siblings around and my parents who excelled in athletics, to know that I can do the same, and that they've shared similar experiences, and they're always here to help me.
Yeah, I don't think I could add too much. I mean, we've really enjoyed watching them support each other. And like you said, there is competition, but they have really supported each other. And kind of one of the things that they've supported each other in, besides, well, they support each other in not just their athletic goals, but academics and other things they're doing. Like she and her little sister did a lot of big community service projects together that they came up with on their own, and put the project together and just got the whole thing started. But they also supported each other, like I said, just kind of moving and getting adjusted to a new place. And so that kind of pulls it back around to sports, because I guess Tori figured it out. But whenever we moved to a new place, we tried, because my husband was military, we tried to move in the summer if we had the option, even if it meant either me going a little ahead with the kids or staying a little behind in order to make it a summer move. But as soon as we'd get there, we'd get them involved in the rec swim league, get them on the soccer teams, whatever was going on then, so that when they started school, they had some friends at their school. And I don't know if they ever put two and two together, and it wasn't like a totally conscious thing. We just knew they needed to do something where they could meet kids and get involved right away. And it was funny with their oldest sister, when we moved to Virginia, just by being involved in the little summer rec league, she started to get invited to the birthday parties, and people were going out of their way to invite her so that she'd meet all the kids in her class, which was really nice of them. But they figured out, oh, she's new, we need to incorporate her. So the athletics really kind of helped with a lot of things like that.
I love that idea of, athletics and being active as a way for your family to connect with one another and be a great family unit, but also to connect with other people in those new communities that you joined. So Tori mentioned the, kind of athletic examples of both of your parents. And I'm wondering if you could just talk about what it was like to have parents who were actively role modeling an athletic lifestyle and, kind of being active for a lifetime.
Oh, I would love to. It's one of my favorite topics. My parents are incredible. My parents are incredible people. Some of the best you'll ever meet. They set great examples for my siblings and I and anyone that they would interact with. Fortunately, they are incredibly humble people. But as their child, we never really got to hear all of their incredible stories, because they let the light shine on us and helping us grow and supporting our dreams. So I wish I knew more about the excellence that is inside of them and their stories, but I know a little bit. For example, my mom here today is a world champion, a world championship team member, national champion in fencing, an incredible athlete, and beyond that, she's incredible in her career, and a great role model for me. So I think from a young age, knowing sometimes very little, but knowing that my parents were college athletes and then my mom pursuing it into making it mainly her career. She started what's called the WCAP program, or she was the first athlete in it for the Air Force. So basically she was able to put her career on hold to do athletics, which is super cool. So just knowing that my parents were really athletically inclined and excelled at that, and then were able to have their careers and have their family, was just a great role model for me and my siblings.
So Terry, obviously before you had kids, athletics was part of your life. And I'm wondering if you just talk about that transition from being an athlete yourself to then making it an important part of your family's life, and why that was so important to you.
I don't even know, honestly, if it was a conscious thought. Athletics, I just kind of always grew up with it. When she talked about that little parenting philosophy, that actually came from my dad, who I don't know that she has a lot of memories of because he died when she was very young. But he used to joke, I'm the oldest of 6, and he was an Army officer. And at that time, Army people did not make a lot of money. So there were 6 kids and moving around a lot, so one of the things he just always got his kids involved in was athletics. So I grew up that way, and I just sort of followed that example with my own kids. And he used to joke about, as long as you keep your kids tired, they're never going to get into trouble. So with 6 kids, he always had us working out and, tired by the end of the day. So you would do your school, you'd go to practice or whatever you were doing, come home, do homework, and go to bed. And that's kind of what we did with ours. So it was really just kind of what I grew up with. Then when we had our own kids, and Dan grew up in a very similar lifestyle with either being involved in sports and also working hard. His family actually built their house, so also working hard with his family. So it was just sort of something that we transitioned to with our own kids. I don't think we thought about it that much. Now in hindsight, I know I was telling you that they're both of Tori and Colby took psychology, and they kind of have told us now that we've done a good job. But after seeing some of the things in psychology, I think I'm happy now looking back at the choices we made. But I don't know that we sat down and said, oh, let's get our kids involved in sports. I know that we consciously said, let's, when we move, get our kids involved in things where they can meet other kids. And the most natural thing for us was sports. So it was just sort of what we both grew up with. And then it's just kind of what we're used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just to add, what's really exciting also is seeing like our parents doing really well in sports and then setting us up to do sports when we were younger, but also seeing how it's something that continues through life. So it was always a constant for us every time we moved, that we would always have sports and have sports teams as a way to make new friends and get adjusted and acclimated to a new community. But also, for example, my dad, it's March Madness time, and being at UK, it's super exciting. But he actually has a group of friends that are from the Air Force or from like back home, and every March Madness they pick a place and they all go there and they play basketball together and they watch March Madness. And my mom will go and swim, and they'll have like soccer games at home. So just to see that sports, it's something that we had when we were younger, and luckily we all get to do it in college, but it's something that we can keep doing the rest of our life. And it's a way that we've made a lot of our best friends.
I think that lifetime physical activity, your mom and I were talking about that before we started the recording today, just how your perspectives on being active change over the course of your life. And Terry, that was my next question for you. There are many women are not as active as we could be, and in general less active than men across the lifespan. So, as other women, your daughters included, are looking to you as a role model for staying active over the course of their life, what do you hope they see and what do you hope they learn?
Well, kind of something that you guys were talking about really struck me. And I think that's what's important for women over the course of their lifetime, and especially as they get older, is that athletics doesn't have to be limited to just people that are awesome at it, or that, you know, that your goal is to be awesome. And so when I used to speak with groups about staying fit through your whole life, I was speaking as a 20-something-year-old who was in the midst of training and competing at a high level. And so even though I talked about it, I didn't really know what I was talking about. It was nice of them to listen to me, but I really didn't know what I was talking about. But now, as an older woman, what I could say is that you need to just, especially for women trying to stay active, do the best you can with what you can do and not be so hard on yourself. So, you know, find something that you enjoy doing, and it could be something easy like taking your dog for a walk, or, you know, walking on the beach, or it doesn't have to be something that kills you. It doesn't have to be something hard, especially if you're trying to get back into athletics and fitness if you've been out for a while. And those are so many things that older women have to deal with, is how do you manage family and work and trying to take care of yourself? And it really becomes hard. And I think most women defer to putting themselves last. And so, and I've done that myself. And even though you can say don't, because, you know, just like on the plane, take the oxygen first so you can help other people. And that is good. So all the women that are taking the oxygen first and helping themselves first and then helping other people are probably doing it the right way. But if you made some of the choices I made, where you put everybody else first, and now you're trying to get back into it, I think just be kind to yourself, be gracious, and do what you can, and then build up and make it fun, make it something you enjoy. I think too many times people think I've got to kill myself. Now, Tori, you can kill yourself at practice because you've got different goals. But if your goals are fitness, it's about consistency. It's about making it part of your lifestyle, and it's about enjoying it, because, you know, you just get one life. So you got to try to enjoy the process, you know, that enjoy the climb thing. So I think those are the big lessons learned when you're a bit older, is just to try to do your best to make it part of your everyday life and find things that you enjoy doing. And even like for kids, I'm thankful that all four of ours did enjoy it, and it's fun that they wanted to compete. But I would have been just as happy if they found something that was fun and they never were really competitive at it, you know. As long, I think it's still important even for kids, because we've got a weight epidemic or an over obesity problem in the country, to find things that they enjoy doing that keep them active, so that they can be healthy too. And they don't have to be great at something. They just have to enjoy running around and playing tag, or playing, you know, playing with their dog, or doing something that'll keep them moving. So.
That love of activity and being kind to yourself, I think, are, you know, simple things that we can all do to be more active over the course of our life. So both of you mentioned a couple times goals related to physical activity. Could you talk about your upcoming or goals you're looking forward to in the future? Tori, you want to go first?
Yeah, I was gonna say I can go first because I'm kind of in the midst of it right now. I think I'm very fortunate to be at UK, especially on the swim team. With it being my freshman year and with COVID, a lot of teams either cut their programs or kind of opted out of the season. UK did a great job, you know, just adapting to the new normal and winning an SEC title this year for the first time in history. So I'm very thankful to be where I am. That being said, I'm a very little fish in a huge pond. So I'm just very thankful to have this opportunity to be training here with some amazing coaches, amazing staff that are here to help me in every way possible to grow and to develop. So my goals are, I'm setting them really high. I want to improve as much as I possibly can. And that was mainly part of my college decision after, you know, obviously academics do come first, but I wanted to go where I knew I could improve the most and see just what my potential was in swimming, like how much I could improve and what was the fastest I could possibly be. So that's kind of what I'm going for right now, is how fast can I physically get. And I am fortunate to have amazing teammates and coaches and just facilities here that are facilitating that. And then after college, I will be going into the Air Force, and I will absolutely stay active, and it'll just depend on if I pick up pentathlon again something I did when I was younger that my mom showed my little sister and I, and it's what she competed in professionally. So it'll be interesting to see if I am able to and could pick that up again, but I will definitely continue to swim or run or keep lifting and just stay in shape throughout the course of my life, hopefully.
So you were exposed to a lot of different sports as a young person, multi-sport athlete in high school. How do you think that impacts your goals that you've set for yourself?
I think it definitely impacted who I am as a person, growing, especially. I think with my goals, it was at first actually hard to just narrow it down to one. A lot of people that I'm surrounded with here, especially when you're at a Division I program for your sport, most people just did that sport, at least in high school. A lot of times with swimmers or runners, and they maybe did something else in middle school, or some of them even did other sports that correlated in high school. But my sisters, like my sister and brothers and I, having such a unique experience of doing soccer and cross country and track, and my little sister and I doing pentathlon, it was a lot of sports at once. Trying to narrow it down and actually pick. For a while, I was torn between running or swimming in college. So to pick just swimming was one of the ways that it was hard to focus my goals. But with sports doing so many, I think it helped me be more open-minded and know that some things out of my control, and that I also can't base my goals off of other people, that I have to base them off of myself. And especially with swimming, like staying in my own lane, setting time goals, setting improvement goals for myself, and just knowing that if I'm getting better, then I'm making steps towards my goals, and that's what's important.
Terry, do you have a goal that you're working on or looking forward to?
Well, I'm basically trying to get back in shape. So I'm doing what I was talking about. We've got a dog that we ended up with because of Tori and her little sister, and somehow I'm the one that ends up walking our dog. So I've started with that, and I think that swimming is the next step. I'm branching back into that as the pools are opening back up, and I'm going to probably have to figure out, I do better with a something I'm aiming for. So I'm fortunate that a lot of the sports that I've been involved in, like even pentathlon, but that's a tough one because of some of the parts of it. But they all have masters categories. So I'm kind of looking at whether I want to go for
Masters pentathlon
swimming.
champion.
Excuse me.
Masters pentathlon champion.
Well, they have that. So either swimming or fencing or pentathlon. Our oldest just recently graduated from the Air Force Academy and fenced for them. So I've been telling her that once she's done, she's about to graduate from pilot training, that once she's kind of settled in her career, she could look at fencing, because she said she kind of misses it. So I don't know, I may show up at some of her fencing tournaments and
cheer her on and get inspired to do it yourself at the same time.
Or maybe have to fence against her, see how that goes.
There you go. I like it. Bringing back some of that friendly competition.
Right.
So both of you have interacted in military as well as athletic settings that are often male dominated. I mean, getting better as far as women being involved, but still fairly male dominated in some settings. So I'm wondering if you could talk about your experiences training and competing as women in these settings.
I think my mom would definitely have the best perspective on this, so I'll let her take the floor.
It's kind of a hard question. I think I've been fortunate because I swam in high school. I went to college on a swimming scholarship. And it was, I really didn't see a problem between the men and the women. And to be perfectly honest, part of what was I was at the very beginning of Title IX. So that for me in athletics, for the women, a lot of things were very good because Title IX was just starting. So I talk to my kids all the time, because with 3 girls and 1 boy, there's some things I think Title IX should change. I think some things are now almost weighted against the men as far as the way they count the scholarships and the funding. But then obviously you see things that have gone on and you go, well, we still haven't gotten where we need to get. So, so there are things that need to be fixed with that. But for me personally, that was not a problem. In the military, obviously lots of progress has been made. And I again, didn't really know what I was picking. My dad was in the Army. I had an Air Force. I had both a swimming and an Air Force ROTC scholarship, and I ended up going Air Force, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Since then, with our kids, we've just told them that I really believe that the best opportunities for women, while they're good in the services, that the Air Force, I think, has made great strides forward. So there's a lot of opportunities for women that maybe there weren't before. But in being in environments that are mostly male, I think just the thing I always felt, and my dad was just a big proponent of, you can do anything you put your mind to, was that you just have to do your best and you have to do a really good job. That was the biggest thing, was to just do a really good job. I was actually on the athlete advisory committee for the U.S. Olympic Committee or the Athlete Advisory Council as a rep from Modern Pentathlon. And that was back when we were trying to get women in the Olympics. So I was kind of at the beginnings of all of that. And those were the frustrating things, was the times where we weren't, the men were going. I was training for the time frame of the Seoul Olympics. The men's team went to compete at Seoul, and we went to a world championships in Poland, which was not the same at all.
Yes. Doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
Yeah. So those things where we're starting to get the women and all the women's events into the Olympics and those kinds of things are great progress. And it's cool that I got to see it happen, but I also kind of missed some of it, which is actually how these guys.
Okay, I was just going to say, going off of that note, in college athletics, I think most recently what we've seen in the news with the NCAA March Madness tournament, with the men's versus the women's facilities, luckily I think they kind of came back from that and helped the women out. But fortunately at UK, I haven't really noticed it, because it's been really cool in this spring season to see that I think there's 4 teams that have won championships, and I can't remember the 4th one, but it's been UK rifle, which was mainly women, and then UK swim and dive, which was the women, and UK volleyball, which was the women. So it's been cool to see that the UK teams, especially women's teams, have been doing incredibly well. And I think that UK in general definitely supports us, and I'm very thankful for that. Also doing ROTC, it is incredibly male dominated. We're separated into different flights, or just looking at my freshman class in general, there's probably a handful of girls and there's a majority of boys. But I think, especially relating it back to athletics, it's I'm very fortunate to be an athlete, and there are a few girls who are athletes that then being able to compete with the guys for the fitness assessment that we have to do, being able to do similar things that they are doing, actually helps me being on a more even playing field, because they're like, oh, she can do the same thing I can. So they are very respectful, and the only difference I notice is that there's less women, but I never feel that I'm at a disadvantage, and I think they respect me all the same.
That is actually something that is very true. And I did notice that, is that the fact, if you are a very fit female, and that you can compete equally with the men. So I'm not saying that I could run in my time with the fastest men, but with the majority of the men that were in the Air Force, that like I would do, because even when you're active duty, you have to do a fitness test. Mm-hmm. If you're at the head, if you're running at the front, and then you get done and can cheer the rest in or help run them in, it kind of changes the whole dynamic. So I always had that advantage of, it was never expected that a female would be up at the top of the fitness things. And every time you are, it just kind of, you're instantly noticed, which the men are not, because they just expect they'll be there. So you're instantly noticed. And that was something that helped by being a very fit female. So, so that is something I guess is still the same.
So your physical abilities and your athletic abilities gave you that ability to interact in that environment well.
Absolutely. I'm sure it was the same as she's saying. It's definitely the same here. I don't get to go to PT all the time because I'm at swim practice, but we have a physical assessment that we do each semester. And so when I get to go out there, and sometimes I'll do more sit-ups than a majority of the guys, or more push-ups, or when we run together. So if I'm like in the top 10 and I'm beating a bunch of guys, it's something that stands out because they expect the same from the guys, but then as a woman to be doing that is really exciting. And so then they say that I got 100 on my physical assessment. And so then it's just something that people recognize. And there are a bunch of very fit females in the program. So it's just something cool that I think elevates us if we're looking at just the gender differences.
So as two women who have really found a love of activity and sports, what advice do you have for other girls or women who are trying to be more active or about being an athlete for life?
I think my mom touched on this, especially when you're talking about being an athlete for the rest of your life, especially going beyond just high school or middle school or college sports, when the training is really intense, is just finding something you love. That's what I had to do to pick one sport I wanted to do in college. But I think it's what also as you get older and there aren't school programs to be involved in, is just finding something you love that you can do. Maybe not every day, but at least every week, so you can stay active, stay healthy, whether that's going on walks or runs or swimming or playing with your animals or anything. It's just finding something you love that will keep you active and keep you moving so that you can stay healthy for the rest of your life.
And I guess the only things I could add to that are me personally, I don't know about most people, but I do better with routines. So if it's something, and her dad and I have also, we do better if we get it done in the morning. So like with her younger sister, we're both working on a stretching routine. So we've been doing a stretching routine every day. And the few times that Colby wants to do it, like in the evening, I just going, we're never going to do it. We need to do it first thing in the morning before you go to school, or it's not going to happen. So for me, it's also getting the routine, and my routine is better if I do whatever I'm going to do in the morning. Although when I was working, I did it at lunchtime, which was kind of fun because that really opened up a kind of a group of people that I met, a fun group of people, because you meet people that are working out at lunchtime. So they're sort of already people that have the same mindset. So that was fun.
What final messages would you like to share with our audience today?
That my mom is the coolest person ever. I would just say that living a healthy and active lifestyle is a really great way to stay more content with yourself and to be happy. I know that sometimes when I'm in a bad mood, just getting out, getting into the sunshine or going to my practices make me feel better. And having that, especially with my family, who's also active, is just a really great environment. It's something that's been a huge part of my life, and I know I'll continue it. So I think if others see that and want to continue in a healthy lifestyle or pick up or restart being active, I think it's super important, and I definitely recommend it.
I agree with Tori, and I would say I think it's harder nowadays to keep a healthy lifestyle. I think there are more distractions. There are so many things that we have available to us that can be positive tools, from social media and the internet, and even using Zoom right now. But it also makes it very easy not to be active. There's so many, there are comedians that'll do funny little bits about how, our cars are so automated and everything compared to what they used to be. But it's just, our life doesn't have to be active, and it's very easy not to. So I think every time you can just be active, especially if you can do it outside, because I also think just getting outside is so helpful, to just be in the sunshine or to see the trees or whatever. It kind of keeps you connected and grounded. And I think it's not just good for your physical health, it's good for, as Tori touched on, for your mental health. And I really think it's harder to do nowadays. It's so important to do your best to start when you're young, or to help your kids start when they're young, and then do your best to sort of keep up with it as you get older, to kind of resist the direction things are going these days.
We have definitely engineered physical activity out of our lives. I mean, it is the hardest choice to be active sometimes, it seems like, but
Right.
Also a really important one. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today and some time with me this afternoon. I really enjoyed talking with you both.
It was our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Champions of Active Women podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Active Women's Health Initiative and the Sports Medicine Research Institute within the College of Health Sciences at the University of Kentucky. This episode was produced by the Faculty Media Depot. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share with your social networks, or simply tell a friend about us. If you want to help us sustain the Champions of Active Women podcast, donate to the Active Women's Health Initiative at uky.networkforgood.com. For up-to-date information about our initiative, follow us on social media at UKAWHI. Thank you for joining us as we empower all girls and women to become athletes for life.